So what we discussed in the last session, so we discussed yesterday, the introduction part we discussed mainly like what is Android, why Android, and what are the components of Android, and we discussed our content also, we discussed what we are going to discuss in Android. Okay, so this is what we discussed in the last session. Okay, so today's session I'll explain you. So first we'll discuss how to set up the Android environment, meaning what are the different ways to configure the Android environment we'll discuss. So what do you next one? So today we'll discuss what? How to set up the Android environment. Okay. There are three ways to set up the Android environment. So one is manually we can configure the Android environment. By using ADT bundle we can configure the Android environment. And by using Android Studio, we can configure the Android environment. So these are the three ways to configure. The Android environment. Manually we can configure, by using ADT bundle we can configure, and by using Android Studio we can configure the Android environment. Okay. So out of these three ways, manual configuration, ADT bundle, or Android Studio, so you can use anyone you can use for developing the Android applications. So officially, when Android is introduced, there is no any IDEs for developing the Android applications. So that's why Android is taking a support of Eclipse for developing the Android applications. Okay. So initially, for developing the Android applications, we use Eclipse IDE. We use for developing the Android applications. But now recently, last year, Android is introduced an official IDE for developing the Android applications. That is Android Studio. Okay. And the future enhancements and everything you get only in Android Studio will get. But this Android Studio is not preferred for the beginners. Meaning, if you are the beginner in Android, if you don't know anything in Android, then better will go with manual configuration or ADT bundle. Once if you get some experience with Android, you know some basics like at least if you know what is the project structure of Android, at least one or two applications if you create yourself, then you'll understand. Then you'll understand the Android project creation and all. So then you'll go for Android Studios. Okay. So anyway, we'll discuss these three things. We'll discuss in our course. First, we'll discuss the manual configuration. Then after some couple of sessions, we'll use ADT bundle we use. Then after that, we use Android Studio we use for developing the applications. Okay. So let's see the first one. We'll see how to configure the Android environment manually. How to configure the Android environment manually. We'll see how to configure this Android environment. Okay. So if you want to configure the Android environment manually, so we need three softwares we need. If we want to configure the Android environment manually, so we need the following softwares. That is, we need Eclipse IDE. We need Eclipse IDE. And we need Android SDK. We need Eclipse IDE. We need ADT plugin. We need Eclipse IDE, ADT plugin, and Android SDK. Eclipse IDE, ADT plugin, and Android SDK. So we need these three softwares we need if you want to configure manually. Okay. So first let's see. So individually we can download all these things, meaning Eclipse IDE or ADT plugin or Android SDK. So individually you can download all these three files. You can download individually, and you can configure the Android environment. You can configure. Or the difference between manual configuration and ADT bundle is, manually means separately we have to get this Eclipse IDE, ADT plugin, and Android SDK. We have to configure the environment. But if you use ADT bundle, automatically you will get these three files into one single file. Meaning this Eclipse, ADT plugins, and Android SDK. You will get these three things. You will get into one single file. You will get. So that is nothing but ADT bundle. Okay. So I'll show you both things, how to configure the environment manually and ADT bundle. So manual means you have to get these three things. You have to get Eclipse, ADT and Android SDK. Okay, so you can download these three files. You can download from Google, and initially the first step is Eclipse don't know the Android application development. Eclipse don't know what? The Android application development, because Eclipse is mainly designed for developing the Java applications, not for Android applications. So initially Eclipse don't know anything about the Android application development. To specify Android application development to Eclipse, we had to add this ADT plugin, because Eclipse is generic, meaning if you want to work with database, if you want to work in Eclipse, just you have to add a database plugin. We have to add the Eclipse. Or if you want to work with C and C++, if you want to work with Eclipse, just you have to add a C and C++ plugins. You have to add to Eclipse. So here also Eclipse don't know anything about the Android application development. If you want to know the Android application development to Eclipse, we had to add this ADT plugin. We had to add to Eclipse. We had to add. Okay, this is what the first step. For this one, let's see. Download these three files. First, Eclipse, ADT, and Android SDK. So we need these three things. We need. What are the three things? Eclipse we need, Android SDK we need, and ADT. Eclipse, Android SDK, and ADT. So we need these three softwares we need to configure the Android environment. Okay. So you can download these three files. You can download, and even with the coordinates also. I think these files are available. These three things: Eclipse, Android SDK, and ADT plugins. Okay. What is the first step? The first step is we had to add the ADT plugins. We had to add to Eclipse. So for this one, copy all the files from ADT folder. Copy all the files from ADT folder. So paste all these files into Eclipse root folder. This is what the first step. What is the first step? We have to copy all the files from ADT folder and place all these files into which folder? Into the Eclipse root folder. If you do this step, we are adding the Android plugins. We are adding the Android plugins to Eclipse. We are adding. Okay. So this is what the first step. So we'll do this one. So open this ADT folder. So this ADT contains some features, plugins and all for developing the Android applications. So copy all the files from this ADT folder. And place all these files into the Eclipse root folder. So go to Eclipse, open the Eclipse, and place all these files into which folder? Into Eclipse root folder. This is what the first step. Copy all the files from ADT folder, place all these files into which folder? Into Eclipse root folder. This is what the first step. Copy all the files from ADT, so paste all these files into Eclipse root folder. Second thing is start the Eclipse application. Start the Eclipse application. Start Eclipse application and specify the workspace location. This is the second step. Workspace location. This is what the second step. Okay. So in the Eclipse root folder, so start this Eclipse application. start Eclipse application, and here we had to specify the workspace location. We had to specify. So here you can specify any location. Workspace means nothing but just some storage location where you want to store all the projects. Okay, I'm specifying in my system E drive. I'm creating one folder here. For example, SDC underscore. Or today's date. Okay, so you can specify any name. You can specify in your system. Okay, just it is going to create a directory. It is going to create. On folder it is going to create in the E drive with a specified name. This is the second step. What is the second step? Start the Eclipse application and specify the workspace location. This is the second step. Third step is, after Eclipse is started, then we have to specify the location of Android SDK. Meaning in your system where the Android SDK is located, we have to specify the location of Android SDK. We have to specify. So this is a root page of Eclipse. Okay, so now here we have to specify the location of Android SDK. We have to specify where the SDK is located. Okay, so for this one, select window here. Select window. In window, select preferences. Select window. Select preferences. Here, go to window option. In window, you can find an option called what? Preferences. Window, preferences. So once if you select preferences, at left side you will get an option called Android. Once if you configure the Android plugins perfectly, then you will get Android option. You will get here. So select Android. Window, preferences. We have to select what? Android. We have to select window, preferences, Android. Then select browse option. Browse. In your system where the Android SDK is located, we have to specify the location of that Android SDK. We have to specify. See, in my computer it is located in E drive. Just go to that location and specify the location where that Android SDK is located. In my system it is available in the E drive. This is what the location of that Android SDK. That's it. Select OK. So once if you specify the location of Android SDK, you will get all the versions of Android you will get here. So Android 1.5, Android 1.6, we got all the versions of Android we got. Okay. So now the latest version of Android is 6.0, but in my system it is configured up to 4.2. Just we had to update the SDK version. We had to update. Okay. So but anyway, in Android we are having that support, the lower version support and the higher version support. So meaning if you develop any application with 6.0, even you can test the application 1.5 also you can test. Or if you develop any application with 1.5 API, even you can test the application 6.0 also you can test. That lower version compatibility and higher version compatibility is there in Android. Okay. So we configured the environment. We configured. These are the 3 steps. First we had to add this ADT plugin to Eclipse. Next we had to start the Eclipse application, and we had to specify the location of Android SDK. For this, select window, preferences, Android. We had to specify the location of what? SDK. Specify the Android SDK location. This is how to configure the Android environment. Okay. So next thing is, what is the other option? This is manual configuration. Manually, if you want to do the environment, we had to download these 3 things. We had to download individually. We had to download these 3 things, and we had to configure the environment. Or you can go for the second option. What is the second option? ADT bundle. ADT bundle. ADT bundle means we don't need to do anything manually. We don't need to configure the environment manually. We don't need to configure. All these 3 files will get into one single file. That is nothing but ADT bundle. Just download that one and go to Eclipse folder and start the Eclipse. That's it. Automatically you'll get. Okay. So now let's see. So we'll see how to use that. How to download that ADT bundle. I'll share you one URL. Okay. Just download that. Just go to that URL. Based on system configurations, download the ADT bundle. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll share you that URL. I'll share you ADT bundle. Just give me 1 minute. I'll share you that ADT bundle URL. I'll share you so that you can download it. So this is what the URL. Just go through this URL. You can find the link to download that ADT bundle. Okay. So I'll show you. Okay. So here, based on your operating system, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit, so download that. So you can download that ADT bundle. You can download. Okay. So download that ADT bundle, or if you have that manual configuration, that ADT Eclipse Android SDK, you need to download this one. Or if you don't have that Eclipse ADT plugins and Android SDK, just go through this URL. So based on your system configuration, if your system is 32-bit, then go for Windows Int 86. If your system is 64-bit, download that 64-bit ADT bundle download. Okay. So download that one. So once if you download that ADT bundle, so here you will get one folder like this. You will get one single folder. You will get Android software. You will get one RAR file. You will get ADT bundle. Okay. So in this ADT bundle, automatically you will get Eclipse. You will get automatically. Eclipse you will get, and Android SDK you will get, as well as plugins also you will get. Okay. So directly go to Eclipse folder, go to Eclipse and start the Eclipse application. That's it. We don't need to do any internal configurations. We don't need to do. Just download this RAR file, extract that RAR file, go to Eclipse folder and start the Eclipse application. That's it. Okay. We don't need to configure any environment. We don't need to configure. Okay. So let me know whether do you have a software or not. And do you have this ADT bundle or manually you have that Eclipse ADT and Android SDK. Just give the confirmation. So based on the I'll plan. So we'll do one thing. Best thing is that actually download this ADT bundle. Okay, because this manual configuration is manually we have to get that Manually we had to get that Eclipse, we had to get ADT plugins, we had to get Android, we had Android SDK, we had to get separately, we had to get all those things. This is very simple. Just go to this URL, download that ADT bundle download. Okay, and I'll recall once again. Once if you download that ADT bundle, this bundle internally contains that Eclipse SDK as well as the plugins. So we don't need to do anything. Just go to Eclipse and start the Eclipse application. That's it. Okay. So just give me the confirmation whether you have this ADT bundle or not, or you are downloading this one. So once if you give the confirmation, we will proceed whether do you have this ADT bundle or not. Or I'll give some time, 10 minutes. So download this ADT bundle and distribute this one. Okay. So I'll give you 10 minutes time. Meanwhile, you can download this ADT bundle, okay, and distribute to everyone. Okay. So then we'll start. At 10 to 15 minutes I'll wait, no problem. And another thing, if you want to start this Eclipse, Java should be installed in your system. If Java is available, then only you can get Eclipse. I mean, you can start Eclipse, otherwise you cannot start. So send me the response once if you are completed, so that we'll start the next one. Okay. So once if you are completed downloading process, just send me the response completed, so that we'll start to the next one.
All the colleges, if you have completed downloading the software, let us know. If one college has completed the downloading, give the link or give the setup file so that other colleges will download it easily. Tell me if any one college has completed that. If any one college has completed downloading the ADT bundle, intimate me. Remaining colleges can download easily. Only Loyola is responding. What about other colleges? Remaining colleges, please respond. Tell me the status whether you are downloading or not. Under Loyola, if you have a net problem, okay, download it later and share it to all the students. By tomorrow, the environment should be ready. Andhra Loyola, is it okay? Okay. What about remaining colleges? Let me know whether you are downloading or not. SIETK, wait. How long it will take? Sorry, waiting. There is no need to install, I think. It's a net problem. Take Android. Have you downloaded the IDT bundle? SIETK. If you have downloaded the zip file, please mail it to all the colleges so that they can download it easily. What about Pragati Guide NRI? BBIT College. Remaining colleges, please respond. Guide NRI Pragati BBIT.
Yeah. Actually, I have, yeah, I have different.
Tell me the status, remaining colleges, Guide NRI BBIT Pragati. Whether you are downloading or not, whether there is a net problem, let me know. Okay, Guide. What about Pragati, NRI and BBIT?
Outpatient hospital.
Guide College, if you have the zip folder, please mail to other colleges. Remaining colleges, whoever want the zip folder, please give your mail IDs in the chat box.
So if you are downloaded, it's okay, fine. So if you are not downloaded still, so later you can try it. So here, what is the confusion here? If you are using Windows, if you are using, okay, take for example Windows 64-bit operating system. The last two things are there, right? You can take anyone you can download. So ADT bundle, Windows 86_64 is there, right? 64 is for 64-bit operating system. If you are using 64-bit operating system, then go for _64. If you are using 32-bit operating system, if you are using, just only use ADT bundle Windows _x86. So you may get some confusion because so there are a lot of options are there here, but if you observe here, there is some difference is there, right? There is some difference is there in the dates. I mean, someone is the old one. For example, if you take the last two things, the Windows 64-bit operating system. In these two things, which one you have to download? Which one is the latest one? One is released in the year 2013, another one is released in the year 2014. So we'll take the latest one. We'll take that is 2014 one. We'll take. Okay. So anyway, if you are downloaded, it's okay, fine. Or still if you are not downloaded, okay, just later you can download this one. So let me proceed to the next concept, okay. So once if you configure the Android environment, once if you download the ADT bundle, so go to this ADT bundle folder. Here, I told you right, by using in ADT bundle, by default you will get Eclipse, you will get, as well as SDK also will get. So go to this Eclipse folder and directly start the Eclipse. Directly start what? Eclipse. It is going to start the, so Eclipse is going to start, okay. So still if you are downloading, just later you can do that one. So now, so listen the next one, okay. And even in the afternoon sessions, even the coordinators also will help you to install that the ADT bundle or manual configurations and all, okay. So it is loading the Eclipse, so wait for a few minutes. So here we had to specify the location here where you want to store the projects. Here we had to specify the Android workspace location. We had to specify where you want to. So we'll go 28_16. So it is going to create one folder. It is going to create in the E drive with that name what we specified. Okay. So this is the root page of Eclipse. So this is the main root page of Eclipse. So here, we'll see first how to create our first Hello World project. If you want to create the Hello World project, if you want to create, select File option. If you want to create the Hello World project, if you want to create, select File option. In File, you can find the option called New. In a few places directly you can find the option called Android Application Project. If it is not available here, then select Other. File, New, Other. In Other, here you can find Android. In Android, select Android Application Project. In Android, select what? Android Application Project. Okay. Select Next. File, New, Android Application Project. Specify the project name. Let us take my project name is Hello World is the project name. What is the project name? We are creating our first project, that is Hello World. So here, so we had to specify few properties. We had to specify here. The first thing we specified the application name. Application name and project name both are same. Here we specified what? The application name and project name both are same. We specified, that is Hello World. Then after that we specified what? Package name we specified. First we specified the application name. The application name, this is not possible to increase because it's not a font, it's a window. You cannot increase the size, you cannot increase. Okay. I hope you will understand. So first we specified the application name or the project name, both are same. So we specified Hello World is the application name or the project name. Then after that we specified the project name, package name we specified. So we specified a package name com.example.hello world. Okay. So tell me, what is the purpose of packages concept in Java? I mean, some people says, the set of classes and interfaces will place into one folder. That is nothing but a package. But that is not the definition of package. The main purpose of packages concept is which is used to avoid the naming conflicts. Which is used to avoid what? The naming conflicts. We are having a concept called packages. Okay. So which is used to avoid what? Naming conflicts. Because in Java already we have some thousands of classes are there. So if you want to avoid that naming conflicts, we use a concept called packages. Here also in Android, every day thousands of applications are deploying into the Play Store, so there may be a chance of conflicts with other applications. So to avoid that conflict with other applications, to identify your application unique, okay, we are having a concept called packages in Android. Okay, so if you want to deploy your application into Play Store, your package name should be unique. Okay, so by default it is given a package name, that is com.example.helloworld. Com.example.helloworld is a package. So specify the package name. Okay, and next we specify the minimum required SDK, meaning we have to specify what is the minimum version for your project. What is the minimum version for your project? Let us take my project minimum version is, right now in the market, the minimum version of Android is 2.2 is the minimum version. Meaning the devices which are available in the market, all the devices are higher than 2.2 versions. Okay, so that's why we specified the minimum required SDK is what 2.2 is specified, and the target SDK means in your system what are the latest SDK you configured. In your system, what are the latest SDK you configured? We had to specify the location of that Android SDK. I mean, which version you downloaded, basically the latest version. That one we had to specify here. And we'll discuss about the themes part. We'll discuss about the theme later. Now I'm specifying the theme as none. I'm specifying the theme. Now I'm specifying the theme as what? None I specify. Okay. Select next. So what first we specified? We specified a project name, an application name. We specified what is the package name and what is the minimum version and target version. Okay. I'll recall once again. Take the minimum version is 2.2 because we don't have any devices with lower than 2.2 versions in the market right now. So take 2.2 is the minimum version. The target SDK and the compile with SDK is the latest one in your system. Which SDK is the latest one? Just specify that one. And the theme, now we specify the theme property, none will specify. Okay, select next. By default, at the time of creating the project, it is by default it is creating two things for your project. One is icon it is creating, another one is activity it is creating. By default for your project it is creating what? One icon it is creating, another one is what? It is creating one activity it is creating. Meaning for every project, this icon is mandatory for the project. Without creating any icon, have you seen any project in Android without any icon? No. So without any icon we cannot create any project. So it's mandatory. So we had to specify what? The path. We had to specify an icon, we had to specify for your project. Actually we already discussed the components of Android. Activity means a single screen in the application. So if you take any project, for every project we need one icon as well as we need an activity also we need. So we need an icon as well as we need an activity we need. So remaining just leave out all these things. So now we selected these two options we selected. We want to create an icon I want to create for my project and I want to create one activity also I want to create for my project. Okay, select next. This is the first one. By default it is creating an icon for our project. By default it is creating an icon for our project. This is icon. Why it is created a single image with different sizes? Because Android is having different screen sizes. For supporting different screen sizes, so target SDK and the latest SDK specify which version is the latest one in your system. It should not be same. When you can specify same or not, but generally we'll specify the latest version we'll specify. It should not be same, but basically we'll specify the latest version in two places. Okay. So right now here we selected two options we selected. What are the two options we selected? One is icon we selected. Second thing is activity. So it is creating an icon for your project. This is a default icon for your project. Why it is created a single image with different sizes? Because in Android there are different screen sizes are there. For supporting the multiple resolutions, a single image is created with the different sizes. Okay. We'll discuss more about in the coming classes. Okay. Select next. Here I want to create one activity also. Activity means we already discussed a single screen in the application. So here there are some activity samples are there. Like you want to create an activity, a blank activity or a full screen activity, a login activity. There are some activity templates are there. There are some activity templates. So what kind of activity you want to create? You have to select here. See here, I want to create one blank activity. Meaning one empty screen I want to create. Let us select here blank activity. Select what? Blank activity. Okay. Select next. Select next. And here it is asking the activity name and the layout name. It is asking what? The activity name and the layout name. So meaning here, so icon part is completed now. Now we are creating the activity we are creating. So for each and every activity, for example, my requirement is, for example, I want to design one screen, I want to design a login screen. I want to design one login screen, I want to design. I want to create one login screen, let us take so username, password, I want to create a button, login button I want to create. Okay. You know, this user interface creation, meaning creating these text boxes and creating this button, this user interface we can create in XML. You can create the user interface. Where you can create this user interface? In user interface. But whenever you click this login button, I want to send these two details, this username and password, I want to send these details to server. So that logic you cannot write in XML file. Where you have to write that logic? In Java file you have to write that logic. So for each and every screen, we had to create one XML file we had to create. We had to create one XML file we had to create, and we had to create one. We had to create one XML file we had to create, and we had to create one Java file we had to create. So these two are mandatory. These two are what? Mandatory. So for each and every screen in Android, we had to create one XML file we had to create, and we had to create one Java file you have to create. XML file is used for creating the user interface, just only UI creation part. You cannot configure any events, you cannot configure for the UI components. If you want to configure the events like click event, drop down selected event, like these events, if you want to configure that logic, you have to write in Java file, you have to write that logic. So remember, for each and every screen you have to create how many files? Two files you have to create, one XML file you have to create and one Java file you have to create. So this XML file is called as layout. XML file is called as what? XML file is called as layout. Java file is called as activity. XML file is called as layout. Java file is called as what? Activity. Okay. So for each and every screen, we have to create these two files. We have to create one XML file and one Java file. Okay. So that's why at the time of creating the problem, Java file it is creating main activity, and it is creating one XML file it is creating. The Java file is activity, XML file is layout. Okay, so select finish. So it is created on XML file and it's created on Java file. So now the project is created, our first project. So what is the project name we specified? Hello World is the project we specified. Okay. Okay, so we created on project we created and we discussed, right? For each every screen we had to create on XML file we had to create and one Java file we had to create. Okay, so directly we'll see what the XML file contains and what the Java file contains. So once if you understand that one, okay, so we can close the theory part, we can close and we can start the actual programming part, we can start. Okay, so for every we had to create what? One XML file we had to create and one Java file we had to create. We already created an XML file we already created and we already created one Java file also we already, I mean we are not created, but if you are using any particular IDE, if you are using, automatically the IDE will take care of creating that XML file and the Java file. Okay, now let's see, we'll see the Java code, we'll see the XML code and Java code, how to create that one through manually. I mean, we'll see what that XML code contains and what the Java code contains. Okay, I told you, right, for each and every screen we have to create two files. We have to create an XML file. XML file is called as what? Layout, and we have to create one Java file. Java file is called as what? Activity. For each and every screen we have to create these two files. We have to create one XML file we have to create and one Java file we have to create. Okay, so let's see the XML part first. In Guide College, are you Mr. Shivaya? So who is the coordinator in Guide? Is it fine? Is it visible, sir? So discuss what the XML file contains and what the Java file contains. So let's see code user interface, and then after that we'll see the Java code. Another, I mean, once if you discuss this XML part and Java part, we can close the theory part, we can close, and we can start the actual programming part, we can start. Okay, but this is the most important. You have to understand the initial examples because the core concepts are important. Because you know, once if you know the basic concepts, even if you make a request in Google, you can get the examples you can get. But internals you have to understand. That is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So let's see what the XML file contains and what the Java file contains and how to create this one. Let's see. In the resource folder, you'll get one folder called layout. In the layout folder, it is created on XML file. It is created. Open this XML file activity_main.xml, and here we are having two options here. See, you can create the user interface by using drag and drop. By using drag and drop, you can create the user interface. See, if you want to create a button, just select the button component and drag the component. It is going to create a button. It is going to create a button component. It is going to create. But you cannot understand the internals, how it is creating the button and all. So that's why I never prefer, and even in the industry also. But in the industry, the people never prefer to go for drag and drop option for creating the user interface. Okay. So manually we had to create the user interface using XML. So now let's see how to create the user interface using XML. if you want to see the XML code, if you want to see in the bottom there are two tabs are there. One is the graphical layout is one tab, another one is activity underscore main.xml is another tab. Graphical layout is one tab, another one is what? Activity underscore main.xml is another tab. Okay. Once if you take graphical layout, you can design the user interface using drag and drop, or if you want to create the user interface manually, select this activity underscore main.xml. You'll get the XML code you will get. Okay. So here in this XML code, let's see the first tag, and we know, I hope you know about what is XML. XML is termed as extensible markup language. Markup language means enclosing the data within tags. Enclosing the data within tags is called as a markup language. Okay. So in this example, the first thing, relative layout is there, right? This relative layout is a tag. Relative layout is the XML tag. In this tag, we configured the lot of attributes we configured. XML ns colon Android is one attribute. Android colon layout underscore width is one attribute. Height is one attribute. So all these are the attributes. All these are the attributes for this relative layout tag. Okay. Now see, we'll see one after another what are all these attributes and all. And before that, what is the first statement? Relative layout. What is this relative layout? This relative layout is nothing but one of the UI group. That relative layout is nothing but what? One of the UI group. So first you have to understand what is UI group. Okay. So generally UI group is used to specify how to arrange the UI components. What is the purpose of UI group? The purpose of this UI group is used to specify UI components. UI group is used to specify what? How to arrange the UI components. Meaning, you want to arrange the UI components in a vertical format you want to arrange, or you want to arrange the UI components in a horizontal, in a linear format you want to arrange, or you want to arrange the UI components in a table format you want to arrange, or you want to present the UI in a grid format you want to arrange. Like in which format you want to present the user interface. First we have to specify that one in the UI group. Okay. UI group is used to specify what? How to arrange the UI components. We are having different UI groups we are having. One is linear layout is one UI group. Linear layout is one UI group. Next, relative layout is one UI group. Linear layout, relative layout, table layout, frame layout. Like we are having different UI groups. We are having what? Different UI groups. So, and grid layout is another one. So these are the different UI groups: linear, relative, table, frame, and grid layout. Okay. So these UI groups are used to present how to arrange the UI components. Okay. So let's see. So let's see the first UI group. And we will discuss one after another all these UI groups. So first UI group is what? Linear. We'll discuss the first UI group, that is linear layout. So linear layout is one of the UI group. Linear layout is one of the UI group. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components. Linear layout is one of the UI group. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components. We can arrange the UI components in a vertical or, by using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components in a vertical or horizontal format. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components in a vertical or in a horizontal format. And another important thing is one after another. What is the important one? One after another. Meaning you cannot create the UI wherever you want on the screen. You cannot create the UI wherever you want on the screen. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components either linear format or in a either in a vertical format or in a horizontal format, one after another. Okay, this one. Next, the syntax of this linear layout is we have to create a UI group called linear layout. Specify the width Android : layout underscore width is equals to layout underscore width is equals to and this colon underscore it is specified, and next we have to specify Android : orientation is equals to we have to specify vertical or horizontal, and we have to close the linear layout. We have to close. Okay, and linear layout. Inside this linear layout, here we have to write the logic for UI components. This linear layout in the UI components. But before this linear layout, we have to specify one more thing, that is Android : XML-NS. First reference is XML is equals to Android is equals to this URL is nothing but XURL not XSD syntax of linear layout. Arrange the UI component after. Okay, this is what the syntax linear layout. Inside this linear layout, we had to create the here inside this linear layout components creation layout. So open the XML code, open the XML. Later we'll discuss about this. So first we'll discuss what is the UI component about the in place repeat what linear in place of the relative layout, a relative layout with what replace with linear layout with relative layout to linear layout. Android is equals to this is it first of all. XSD means to create, then we'll go DTD is the old XSD scheme, XSD definition, XSD own rules. If you want to do the XML file, then we use this XSD XML concept we use. Here, inside the same attribute Android colon layout underscore width was already specified for an element linear layout. Inside we had to define that width attribute. We had to define only once. We had to define where that restriction is configured. That restriction is configured in the first statement. That restriction is configured in the first statement. First statement we written, right? XML ns colon android is equals to some URL. That URL is nothing but XSD location. That URL is nothing but what? XSD location. So here every XML file is following one XSD in case of Android. In case of Android, every XML file follows what? One XSD. This is what the location of that XSD, the first statement. Okay, remember that one. Next, second statement, we don't need this XML ns colon tools. We don't need this statement. And we don't need this tools or tools attribute also we don't need. So in the linear layout, what we specified? We specified the XSD location we specified. We specified what? The XSD location is specified. And we specified the width we specified. Next, the height of the UI group we specified. So now we'll see. So we specified the XSD location we specified. We specified the XSD location we specified. And after that, so here in XML NS, what are the name we specified here? What are the name we specified? Android we specified. So here every attribute, before every attribute we had to specify this Android. We specified width we specified, and we specified what? Height also we specified. Okay, and we specified a property called what? Match parent is a property we specified. Now let's see what is match parent. Here, observe here, for every UI component and UI group, for every UI component and UI group, for every UI component and UI group, we had to specify, for every UI group and UI component, we had to specify the width and height. We had to specify what? We had to specify the width and height. We had to specify for every UI component and UI group. Okay. Following are parameters. Following are the possible parameters to specify the width and height. Following are the possible parameters to specify the width and height. I'll recall once again, for every UI group and UI component, we had to specify what? The width and height we had to specify. Following are the possible parameters to specify the width and height. Total 5 parameters are there to specify the width and height. The 5 possible parameters are, one is match parent is one thing. Match parent is one possible parameter, or you can use another one is fill parent. Match parent, fill parent, or you can use wrap content. Match parent, fill parent, wrap content, or you can specify the property in pixels, or you can specify the property in dps. Okay, so pixel, or you can specify the property dp. dp is termed as density pixel. These are the 5 possible parameters to specify the width and height: match parent, fill parent, wrap content, pixels, and dp. Okay, so now let's see what is the match parent. So match parent means, for example, imagine this is the device screen. Imagine if this is the device screen. For example, first we have to specify how much space you want to occupy on the screen. Okay, once you want to present the UI in a linear format, you want to present the UI. But first tell me how much space you want to occupy on the screen for this linear layout. For example, if you specify width is match parent means entire screen. If you specify width is match parent means width is going to occupy what? Width, it is going to occupy the entire screen. It is going to occupy. Width, it is going to occupy what? Entire screen it is going to occupy. That is match parent. Width, it is going to occupy what? Entire screen it is going to occupy. That is nothing but what? Match parent. Okay. If you specify height is also match parent, if you specify height is also match parent, height is going to occupy the entire screen it is going to occupy. Meaning basically match parent means what? Match parent means entire screen width and entire, meaning if you specify width as match parent, it is going to occupy the entire screen width it is going to occupy. If you specify the property as what? Match parent. If you specify height is match parent means height it is going to occupy the entire screen it is going to occupy. Okay, that is match parent. Match parent means occupy the entire screen. If you specify width is match parent, width is going to occupy the entire screen. If you specify height is match parent, height is going to occupy the entire screen it is going to occupy. Okay, that is match parent. Even fill parent also same thing. But difference between match parent and fill parent is introduced from 2.2 and higher versions. Meaning if you are providing an option, if you are providing your application support for 2.2 and higher versions, then go for use which property? Match parent property use. Or if your application you are providing a support only even 2.2 and lower versions, your application is providing the support for 2.2 and lower versions, then go for fill parent. But both meaning is same, which is used to occupy the entire screen. Okay. But now the fill parent is deprecated. Now we are using only match parent because right now in the market we don't have any devices with 2.2 and lower versions. So you need to concern about that. You need to concern about the fill parent property because right now in the market all the devices are which is higher than 2. So match parent means which is used to occupy the entire screen. Okay, remember that. Wrap content means up to the content. Wrap content means what? Up to the content. Meaning for example you want to create one button you want to create. You want to create one button you want to create. Let us take I will create one button. Let us take I want to create one button I want to create. Let us take in the center of the screen. The text is called login. I want to create one login button I want to create. But if you want to create a login button, if you specify the property as match parent, what will happen? If you specify the property as match parent, what will happen? This single component is going to occupy the entire screen is going to occupy. This component is going to occupy what? Entire screen width is going to occupy. For example, height also you specified match parent. Height if you specify match parent, what will happen? Height is also going to be occupied for this button. The entire screen is going to occupy. But I don't want to occupy the screen. I don't want to occupy the entire screen. Then what is it? There is an option to create the other UI components. There is no chance to create the other UI components. So I don't want to create the entire screen. I want to create up to the content. How much height is there? I want to create the UI component up to that one only I want to create. or width also I want to create up to the content only I want to create. So at that time we specify a property called wrap content. At that time we specify a property called what? Wrap content. Match parent means entire screen. Wrap content means up to the content. Wrap content means what? Up to the content. For example, if you specify a property, for example, you want to create a button called OK. Okay. So here, for this one also, I'll specify a property called wrap content. I'll specify. Wrap content means is going to create. That is a wrap content. Next, we'll create one more button called cancel. So here I specified a property here called wrap content. Wrap content means what? Wrap content means up to the content, right? But if you specify here, if you specify a property called wrap content, it is going to create up to the content. But is it looking good? The UI is looking good here. See, two buttons are in a normal size. But if you check this OK button, the OK button is looking with very small size. So basically the UI is not a look and feel, right? So basically this is what the problem you will get with the wrap content. Now my requirement is I want to create all the 3 buttons with the same size. I want to create all the 3 UI components I want to create with the same size I want to create. At that time, in place of this wrap content, in place of the wrap content property, we'll specify the pixel property we'll apply. We'll specify what? Pixel property we will apply. So if you use pixel, I mean we can specify. We can specify for all the UI components, we specify a fixed size we can specify. Specify any specific size. If you want to specify any specific size, if you want to specify, for example, login, OK, and cancel. If you want to apply any specific size, for example, here we specify the width for this one is 100 pixels. 100 pixels. Even for this OK button, we specify the width is what? 100 pixels. Even for this cancel button, we'll specify the width is what? 100 pixels. So if you have a requirement of specifying, meaning if you apply with some specific size, it is going to display with a specific size. Okay. But even with the pixels also we are having a disadvantage. Disadvantage is what, for example, this device screen resolution is a 320 is a screen width, and 480 is a screen height. Meaning the width is 320 pixels and the 480 and the height is 480 pixels. What is the width? The width is 320 pixels and height is how much? 480 pixels is the height. In this resolution it is looking good. But if you install the same application in another resolution, you'll get lot of UI issues you'll get. See, this is another resolution resolution device. This screen resolution is 1024 by 768 is the resolution. If you move this one into 1024 by 768, meaning in this resolution it will look good, but if you move this UI into a large resolution, then you will get a lot of UI issues you will get. Because here in 320 resolution the UI is looking good, because in 320 resolution we created a button with 100 pixels. But now if you see here, what is the resolution? 1024. In 1024 resolution, if you but 100 100 pixels is very small. That's why Android is not preferred to use the pixel property. Android is preferred to use a property called dp. Android is preferred to use a property called what? dp. This is what the problem in case of pixels. When the orientation, when the device is changed, if you install the application in large resolutions, you will get UI, you will get with very small size you will get. Okay, basically you will not good look and feel. So that's why if you want to provide your application with same resolution in all the same resolution in all the devices, then in place of this pixel property, we had to use a property called what? A dp property we had to use. What we have to use? A dp. The advantage of applying the dp property is what you know. The advantage of dp property is, okay, when you change the resolution, when you change the screen resolution, based on the screen size, automatically it is going to increase the size of that particular UI component. It is going to increase. I'll recall once again. Based on the screen size, if you change any resolution, automatically it is going to increase the size. It is going to increase. That is what the advantage of applying the dp property. So if you apply the dp, automatically based on the screen size, automatically it is going to increase the size of the particular UI component. Also it will increase. Okay, that is what the advantage of dp property. Okay, so these are the 5 possible parameters to specify the width and height for every UI component and UI. Okay, so now let's see. We created a UI group. What is a UI group? A linear layout. We created the UI group and we specified the XSD location. The first statement is nothing but the XSD location, and we specified width we specified and height we specified. Next, after that we had to specify for linear layout, we had to specify the orientation. We had to specify Android colon orientation is equals to in which format you want to present the UI. We had to specify here. You want to present the UI in vertical format or you want to present the UI in horizontal format. In which format you want to present the UI, specify here. Let us take, I want to present the UI in a vertical format. I want to present the UI. So we will specify the Android orientation is equal to what? Vertical. Okay. Next, inside this linear layout, my requirement is just I want to display a message, welcome to APSSDC. For example, this is what my requirement. So if you want to display any text, on the screen, then we have to use a UI component called what? TextView component we have to use. If you want to display any text on the screen, what is the UI component we have to use? We have to use what? A TextView component we have to use. Okay. So inside this TextView component, and we already discussed, for every UI group and UI component, we had to specify these 2 attributes. We had to specify. What are the 2 attributes? Width and height we have to specify. So we'll specify the width is equal to match parent, but height, if we specify match parent, it is going to occupy the entire screen. But in case of that match parent, we'll specify a property called what? Wrap content. Wrap content means up to the content. And what are the text you want to display on the screen? Specify that one by using Android colon text attribute. So you want to display a message, that is welcome to APSSDC. I want to display a message. What is the message? Welcome to APSSDC. Okay, this is what the message I want to display on the screen. Okay, so let's see whether it is displaying the message or not. Select the graphical layout. Once if you select the graphical layout, it will show you how it will display on the screen. Okay, so it is displaying the message on the screen. Welcome to APSSDC. Okay, if you want to see the XML code, select this activity_main.xml. You'll get the XML code. You'll get. So this is what the XML code. This is what the XML code, and in this way we got the UI we got. Meaning we discussed, up to now we discussed what? The XML part we discussed, how to create the XML file, meaning how to create the layout file we discussed. Next we had to discuss what? The Java part we had to start. Because it's mandatory. It's mandatory for each and every screen we had to create one XML file we had to create and one Java file we had to create. Okay. So now the XML part is completed. Okay. I'll take a 10 minutes break up to 11:45. Okay. So meanwhile, just complete this XML part. Okay. So then I'll start the Java part. I'll start. Okay. So we'll continue at 11:45.